Question number 3, Kevin Hague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by all his statements regarding the safety of mining in New Zealand, and does he consider his government has met all its responsibilities arising out of the Pike River mine disaster?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes and yes.
Kevin Hague.
When was he first shown or told about the image recorded in the Pike River mine on 24th November before the second explosion, showing an opened box likely to have been one containing self-rescuers?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't seen that picture.
Kevin Hague.
Is the Prime Minister seriously suggesting that the police and mine management did not take him into their confidence over what the image from the mine had shown?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have a memory of the image the member's talking about. If he wants to show it to me afterwards, I'm more than happy to have a look at it. Between the time of the first explosion and the second explosion, I didn't see any footage other than the video footage, which was immediately released once I saw it in the public domain. That is the image of the first explosion taking place.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary. How does he reconcile his statements to the miners' families that no expense would be spared to recover the miners' remains, with evidence given to the Royal Commission by Doug White, the mine manager at Pike River, that he was told not to use the word recovery because it was politically unacceptable and that insufficient money was allocated for the recovery operation?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I have no knowledge of what Doug White's been told, but certainly hasn't been told anything by the government or by our office. I mean, the member knows, I think, full well actually what the situation is at Pike River, and that is that there is a plan to get in. It's a ventilated plan going up the main shaft, that the families have met actually with both Steve Ellis as the mine statutory manager and with the liquidators about this issue. The government is working alongside them as best that we can. I've always said when there is a credible plan and a safe plan will go into the mine. It's not a decision for politicians to make. It's a decision for those that have expertise in this area. And I think with all due respect, 29 people lost their lives. If that member thinks I'm going to have political interference to send another 10 blokes down there to get killed, he's dreaming.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary. Does he stand by his statement on 22nd of November 2010 that I have no reason to believe that New Zealand's safety standards are any less than Australia's, and in fact our safety record for the most part has been very good?
The Right Honourable John Key.
Yes, at the time I made the statement.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. If the emergency exit from a mine can meet minimum standards yet be impossible to use, doesn't it suggest to the Prime Minister, as it does to every other New Zealander, that those standards are in urgent need of reform?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that is ultimately a matter for the Royal Commission. What the government has done is given the Royal Commission very wide terms of reference. It's allowing the Royal Commission to come up with a set of recommendations, which I have no doubt that they will, at which point the government of the day, whoever that government is, will clearly go and consider that. Mr. Speaker, the second thing I can say is that the government has actually acted in other areas where it can while it waits for the findings of the Royal Commission. They include an immediate safety audit of all operating underground mines in New Zealand, the establishment of the High Hazards Unit, and as the member will be aware, the Minister of Labour has been working on those issues. She's been more than happy to keep the member up to date with those issues. I understand that you met with the member met with the Minister this morning and will continue to be updated if he so desires.
Kevin Hague.
Given that the establishment of the High Hazards Unit has demonstrated that it is possible, in fact, to take steps to increase safety prior to the Royal Commission reporting, how can it be morally acceptable to allow men to go underground every day until such time as the Royal Commission reports, when we know that the regulations governing their activity underground are inadequate for the task?
The Right Honourable Prime
Mr.
Minister.
Speaker, post the Pike River mine disaster, there was an immediate safety audit of all operating underground mines in New Zealand. That audit, as I understand it, didn't come back with any significant recommendations, which is why you continue to have people working underground. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be recommendations that don't come out of the Royal Commission. I think the second thing that's important to note, and it's been one of the challenges around Pike River, and that is that every single mine is bespoke and unique. So what actually takes place or took place in terms of the design of Pike River can be completely different from the design that takes place at Spring Creek or any other underground mine in New Zealand. And one shouldn't necessarily draw the dots between one mine and another.
Question number 4. I beg your pardon, the Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Supplementary to the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. Has the Prime Minister spoken to the receiver personally? And if so, did he place a timeline on the sale of the Pike River assets, including the mine licence?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have spoken to John Fisk personally. I did that the day that I met with the families, as I promised them that I would. I also wrote to the families' representative, Bernie Monk, with a list of all of the commitments and my understanding of what took place at that meeting. I didn't discuss the sale at any great length with John Fisk. What I was ringing him about was the frustration and concerns that the families expressed to me about Steve Ellis, the statutory mine manager. I wanted to make sure that the receiver was well and truly aware of that. What did happen was that John Fisk gave me an absolute commitment that they would continue to work on the credible plan. He detailed the plan at some length to me. As I said to Mr Hague, my understanding is that they've met with the families, including Harry Bell, and my understanding is that there was that was deemed to be a constructive meeting between the families.
Supplementary.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Mr. Speaker, to the Prime Minister, did the Prime Minister give an assurance to families that the sale of Pike River assets would not be delayed by an overseas investment office process, such as that continues on the sale of the Crayford Farms, and further prolong the delays and anguish for families of the 29 men whose remains lie within the mine?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I need to go and check the file note. But I don't have any recollection of that. What I did say to the families was the same thing that I said publicly, which is it is the expectation of the acting minister for Energy and Resources that in the case of a sale, what is required is a transfer of the mining licence, and for that transfer of the mining licence to take place, the purchaser would have to demonstrate that they have a credible plan to undertake body recovery. We would expect that to happen as soon as they practically can, but as we all know, this is very, very complex.
Question number 4, the Honourable David Cunliffe.